So today I'm joined by Richard Blank, the Chief Executive Officer of Costa Rica's call center since 2008. Richard's journey began with a foundation in communication and Spanish from the University of Arizona, but took an unexpected turn when at just 27 years old, he relocated to Costa Rica to train over 5,000 employees for one of the largest call centers in San Jose. What started as a bold career move evolved into an entrepreneurial journey that has now seen him train over 10,000 bilingual telemarketers, combining his communication expertise with cultural intelligence to build a thriving international business. Beyond his professional achievements, of course, Richard's a great personality, but his passion is about giving back. He's a keynote speaker for Philadelphia's Abington High School and endows a scholarship each year for students planning to study world languages. Richard, welcome to the show.
I am so happy to be with you and your audience today, Jamilia. This is amazing. I love your show and the fact that I'm a guest. I'm hoping to shed some light and give some great advice.
Well, I'm hoping to listen to your story and learn from your story. And we always start, with the beginning. What really happened in the beginning and what caused you at 27, such a tender age, to make this bold move. Can you take us back then to there, and what really was the impetus for this decision?
Of course, it was building on momentum. So it wasn't just a split decision. It was one of those things that you felt comfortable with because you know the odds were in your favor. My favorite class in high school was Spanish. And unlike a lot of my friends that went to medical school or law school or followed in certain steps scholastically or through family pressure, I got past that guilt and I decided to believe in humanities. And by learning a second language, it just opened so many doors and I could be the only one that could do it. And so I was getting so much positive reinforcement from the Latino community. So then fast forward to 27 years old, I had this 1 in a million opportunity to come to Costa Rica for just a couple months, teach English at a friend's call center. But you know when you get the chills, you know when the sixth sense kicks in, my Kentucky friend, you know when it's time to make that bold life decision, which if you don't do it, you're going to regret it for all of your days. And so I knew that this was my destiny. My intentions were honorable and it was done with good faith. So it was very easy for me to take that next step and to become an expatriate.
So you and I have that in common, that whole teaching English abroad as sort of like the door or the gateway to the experience. So I was 19, I went to China to teach English, but I mean, I can tell you that the feeling of being in that environment, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about this. You probably can remember a lot of details, can't you, about that first experience in teaching English abroad?
You know what? I saw it as extreme good faith. If you see someone that hits the gym, you admire their muscles, or someone that can play the violin or paint. But languages, if you have invested your time with the structure and the discipline and the years, when someone else comes to you as well, it's really just an exchange of ideas and as I say, good energy. And so for me, even though I have an accent, because I'm from Philly, I just can't kick it. But my grammar, my vocabulary, learning the culture, asking clarification questions without embarrassment, just to make sure I'd rather do the right thing than the wrong thing twice. And so I was able, like in football, to get a lot of first downs. I saw motion and I saw smiles when I would say something. It's a beautiful, as I mentioned before, when someone receives your energy and gives you that reinforcement, it just encouraged me to be more bold and to have more self-reliance and self-confidence. And slowly but surely, but it definitely adds upon itself. So that's what I felt. And it's a beautiful natural drug that you get just by feeling that sort of warmth and inclusion with other people. And so I know that all the world was a stage. and that anytime I could just jump into this second language and enjoy myself.
Out of all the skills, so we talked about communication skills. I want to talk about leadership skills because that's another gripe that I have coming from the corporate space where you see people in leadership roles, and you know what I'm about to say. They are not leaders. No, you went from employee to entrepreneur and leader of this massive call center. What was your biggest leadership lesson? And how did that change your approach if it did?
Hands on, from the hockey coach that took their time to my Spanish teacher that balanced my bike to individuals that once again are there with you. So people can tell when someone's faking it a mile away. And so I think the market speaks. If nobody shows up, you remember hearing those stories about the Chuck E. Cheese birthday parties where the kids got 20 pizzas and no one shows up? Well, you have no friends, man. I mean, sometimes the market does speak. And so you could force somebody in a leadership position. You can scare people to having them being a leader. But there are certain organizations where people will be with you. I believe in circles. You might have a certain individual leading where it's going, but you're only as good as the person that is with you and vice versa. And so um, for me, there was a movie in the 70s called Slapshot. It was the Paul Newman movie. It was a great hockey movie. Anyway, Reggie was the coach, but also a player. And the generals that will sleep, eat, and fight with their people front line. And the ones that get their hands, those are the ones that become legends because the men see and they look to their left and they realize that person is in the rain with them and having the hardships with them. And so I don't want to be on this ivory tower. I know I've earned my position. I know that people might judge me on what happened on their last jobs with supervisors or bosses, and I say to them, not if, but when you own your own company, aren't you going to spend time with your people? But I was smart about it. I did a couple different tricks. I'm an old school gamer, so I collect pinball machines and air hockey tables. And so I've created a happy medium like recess in school. So instead of just being a pure boss, I get to hang out with people in an area to laugh and to joke and to compete. And then secondly, when people are coming in for interviews, besides giving me all the adjectives and playing the violin and singing the world, Jamilia, I'll ask you to turn your paper over and give me a couple paragraphs of a coming of age moment. I want to know when you beat up a bully or saved a kitten back in Kentucky. Why? So I can give you a nickname. I can see if you can zig and zag and be loosey-goosey on the phone, so you're just not reading script. And when you're sad on a Wednesday when it's raining, I'm going to pick you up and tell you, I'm going to remind you when you were the champ. When you weren't the shy girl in your dancing class and you finally got in front of everybody and you did it for the first time and you shed some skin and you liberated yourself and you got to another level. And so those are the sort of things I'm exceptionally proud of people. I'm going to say it again, me today, you tomorrow. The greatest thing you could ever do is not have envy and just be proud of somebody if they're having their moment. Be there for them.
I love that. I love that. And so many points there. I mean, I think one of the things that you said that resonates me is this idea of you're winning, but you want them to win too. And so it creates this relationship where their win is your win and your win is their win. It's boosting each other up. And once again, that's something I think has been lost today in this. So in Dubai, I'll speak about Dubai because when the world thinks of Dubai, they think of yachts, they think of parties, they think of a very sort of materialistic, superficial place. And without throwing Dubai under the bus, I'll say there's some truth to that, right? I'm gonna keep it real. There is some truth to that. Everyone wants to have the best car, the best house, the best spouse, right? Everything. And I think that we lose in all of that. We lose this idea that I can win and you can win too. I could be fabulous, you could be fabulous too, right? And so for people who want to come here and get started, I think your story is so important because the way that you're doing it is about it's a human centric approach, right? And then you're also putting the people first who you're working with, and that's creating the company culture. So, like, adding pinball machines and jukeboxes into your company culture it's fascinating, but it's part of who you are. And like you said, you don't have to keep a mask on.
That's right.
You can come from a place of authenticity and show people that, and maybe that helps them be who they are too.
100%. It's like a feral cat. They see you, and little by little they approach you, and then finally you can give them some milk and pet them. And so they've just been bruised, and they've been in some environments where people were cancers, and they had terrible supervisors that just took away any sort of self-respect.
Richard, I have a tough question for you
Okay?
now that we've talked about the journey. Now here comes the tough stuff.
Yeah,
So one thing you and I both know is that entrepreneurship is really tough, right? So I can tell you, being just totally honest, just yesterday, 2 days ago, wasn't a good day. It wasn't a good day, and we go through these cycles of like mountains and lows and mountains and lows, and it changes you. I mean, I can't say that today I'm the same person that I was 4 years ago. I'm definitely not. What what happened in your journey? Was there any sort of pivotal moment where it really shook you to your core and really changed you?
disappointment over anger. I had certain expectations in individuals that did not follow through. And so they might not have been as committed as I was, or things happen in life that are outside the office that I can't control. But the fact that I thought that my first employer would be with me for 20 years to get the watch and grow with the company, I'm foolish. I made some mistakes by bringing outside supervisors when I should have, back in the day, promoted more from within because of the people that had the respect for them. And so I made certain mistakes in regards to individuals where it was the right bus, just the wrong seat. And so that was my issue in the beginning, especially as we mentioned, being an expat, a guest here, where I needed some home court advantage. I needed an attorney, the accountant, human resources, the individuals that, once again, my face man that could go out for me and purchase stuff. Because if you and I go out there, it's another 50%. We're gringos. And so it's not going to happen. I mean, they can see me a mile away. But I lost some innocence on that because I saw some people taking advantage. And I also, being bilingual, there are certain situations, Jamilia, where I would not let some people know initially that I spoke Spanish. Not all the time, and I don't play that game, but it's a good defense. Just to see if certain guys in Boys Town are up to no good and they're saying something bad about me. So I just want to make sure. But yeah, I mean, being an entrepreneur, how about this? I'd rather, loved and lost and not loved and all. What a great ride. And there's so many romantic deaths. You have them every day, from being elated to being depressed. But I tell you what, I'm going to say this. At the end of the day, you're going to be just fine. You'll always have a roof over your head. You always have a full belly. You got a bunch of people that love you to death. You'll never be destitute. And so if we're just gauging it on unrealistic expectations or what society says, and then you're way off. I kind of do the woo way. I don't like resistance. I'll let the wind and the current and gravity take me sometimes. I'll get a little bit of a, on a boat. I'll have the rudder, but I'll allow sometimes things to take me in a certain way and just let things happen naturally. I'll let it glaze over me. I'm not going to avoid the bad thought, or I'm not going to let it fester. But if it's just got to go through me for a little bit and then just go away, it's a healthy thing. Just rake it through, get the rocks out. And it's about a boxer. It's going 15 rounds. Come on, it's about going the distance. You're athletic. You know what it feels like when you get the pain in the legs or in the back and the arms in the gym, or when you're running. And as a hockey goalie, my legs would kill me in the third period, but you still got to persevere. And so you find the magic, that 20%, that the only way you could get it is to be on the high seas, in the desert, or in the forest. What gets inside of you to get off that mountain and survive, or as Chuck Wepner did against Ali, go the distance and you become Rocky. And so in order for us to get there, Jamili, we needed to be tested. And I'm sorry what happened to you the other day, but guess what, kiddo? It didn't break you. That's the thing. It didn't break you. And no one bats 1,000. And so I'm glad we hear your successes and you read your bio. It's incredible. But then again, only so many people get to see those tough times when you had to pick yourself back up and look at yourself in the mirror. And I'm so proud of you for that. I hope you make your bed in the morning and you can look at your eyes in the evening and put your head on a pillow and have simple thoughts, because you never really want to have a heavy heart. You always got to eliminate, and we spoke about this before going live on the podcast, eliminating that weight. Because if you can do that, then you're capable of doing almost anything.
I think it's so important for people to hear us talking about the difficult times, right? Like a lot of people get on like, oh yeah, done this, moved to Dubai and, did this and, 10,000. He's like, okay. But what did it take? Like, what did it cost? How did that feel? How many times did you have to get back up? Because I never want anyone to listen to me or read a book or anything and say, oh, it's easy. If anything, I'm telling you it's not easy. I'm telling you it's not easy. I'm telling you it's worth it, but I'm telling you it's not easy. And you're saying it's not easy, but it's worth it. And I think, what you're saying, I mean, what really resonates with me is this idea of the journey and how it makes you and how that's what life is. Like yeah, we like yachts, right? Okay. We like champagne, but we're we're not doing it just for that. We're doing it because it is the exercise, it's the routine, and that's where you build yourself. And for our listeners who are at that critical decision point, whether to stay in their comfortable but unfulfilling jobs or take a leap towards something new and maybe unknown, what would be that final piece of wisdom that you would share with them?
40 hours is part-time, 80 hours is a full-time job, 100 hours you're a beast. And so I think you can dip your toe in the water, still be responsible with your family and your current job, but be bold and be brave. You need to drink life, because the worst thing to do is to regret certain things. I was extremely realistic. Some people say it took too long. I started my business at 35. You want to know why, Jamilia? I'll be honest with you. I was very immature, still am immature, but I also needed to work on my impulse control. So I would have not been the same boss at 25 than at 35. And so sometimes I believe responsibilities need to be done at certain stages of life when you are ready for it.